What's up, witches? It's Claudia here, and I have some exciting news. Finally, we have created a Patreon. So you can find us at patreon.com/truecrimecovinpod. At the moment, there is only one tier. It's the familiar tier, and it's just where you can chuck us £1 just to help keep us going every month. We aim to expand on this and create new tiers and exciting content. But for now, if you'd like to support us in this way, please do go ahead. That's patreon.com/truecrimecovinpod. Enjoy the episode, guys. What's up, witches? Hi, I'm Claudia.
And I'm Jess.
And welcome to True Crime Covin. It's weird because you could ask me at any time, what is your theme song? And I'd be like, I don't know. But if we do this bit, I remember.
You know it, yeah. Also, so much easier to do that in person than...
Oh my God, that sounds so much better.
When we're doing it over Zoom, we're like...
That's got to stay in. Hiya, Jess, you alright?
Yeah, I'm good. You alright, Claudia?
Yeah, I had a bit of a weird day.
Yeah?
Well, I woke up at 6:30, which is weird for me.
That is weird for you. Normally it's 3:30 that you reply to my texts.
What, in the afternoon, yeah.
Or in the morning.
Yeah, I have no sleep pattern, shift work. And then I decided to get up, so I did. And then I had a really productive day. I deep cleaned the bedroom. Oh my God, I'm yawning. Jesus Christ. I deep cleaned that came out of nowhere. Deep cleaned the bedroom, cleaned the bathroom, cut the plants back in the back garden and the front garden. I did all this stuff. Felt really accomplished, had a bath, watched a whole series, which was a 7-episode series, so it was like 7 hours.
Yeah.
And in my head, I could hear my friend Ryan, who passed away. He always used to be annoyed that people would be like, oh, I don't want to watch a film, I don't have the capacity for it, and then we'd watch a whole series at once.
I am so guilty for that.
So I could hear his frustrated voice in my head, really.
What series was it?
It's called Everything I Know About Love.
Oh, okay. Would you recommend?
Yeah, but it's like a trashy, feel-good girl coming of age thing.
Fair.
And I have a massive soft spot for that. It's either horror or that.
Nice. Okay.
Also
in between.
Oh yeah, I also love trashy teenage rom-com films like Kissing Booth.
Okay.
And To All the Boys I've Loved Before.
Okay, I have not watched any of these.
Oh, they are good. My friend Alicia as well. We both love them, so we text each other there's another Kissing Booth coming out. Because there are 3. But yeah, anyway,
they are
I
my
digress.
least favourite genre.
Oh really?
Yeah, rom-coms.
I love them. Wild Child, amazing.
Okay, Wild Child is a good film. To be fair,
a bit of a rom-com. Well, it's a coming of age film.
Coming of age film's fine. Rom-com, no.
I watched a rom-com the other day and it was very dated and weird. Yeah, and then my luck turned because water started coming out through my light.
Yeah, you showed me the video, and when you say water,
a lot,
you pissing water.
And I checked my landlord, and his first thing was, "Well, I'm away on holiday. Put a bucket under it." And I was like, "Thanks, Rain Man. I have." No pun intended.
Yeah. So yeah, that's that.
But anyway, and then I made sugar cookies in the shape of ghosts,
and they taste very good.
Oh, thank you. I've never made sugar cookies before.
Have you not?
No.
Oh, they're not too hard, to be fair.
Oh wow, the shade. They're really good, but they're not hard. No, they're not hard. But you know what?
As a basic, if you want to get into baking, sugar cookies are a good one to start with because they're not too.
Okay, it's not my first time baking.
Just saying, I made some for work, and they're I'm terrible at baking, and I could.
But I'm a good baker. You've had my banana bread.
Yeah, you are a good baker.
And I know banana bread's easy, but I do make next level banana bread.
Yeah, your banana bread is good.
I make good Oreo brownies too.
I've never tried your Oreo brownies.
So anyway, this is a bit waffle mania. Sorry.
Yeah, it is.
So it is your week.
It is. I didn't forget because I have stories ready. But driving on the car on the way over here.
Driving on the car.
On the way over here.
In the road on the car.
I was like, I wonder what crime Claudia's gone for this week. And then I was like, nope, it's my week. I need to get ready to read.
Something you're so good at.
Oh, God, don't. Because I'm tired. That goes without saying.
You've had a more busy day than me, to be fair. You've been to work and then cheer.
Yeah, and now I'm here.
And you're growing a human.
But as I was doing one of the stories the other day, I was like, this is a lot of long words one after the other. And I was like, this is not going to be fun to read. This is going to take me quite a few attempts.
Yeah, well, now you know how I feel, because so often I've got like superintendent, blah, blah, blah. And it's like all these like legal terms. And I'm like, I don't know.
I'm saying it right. Oh, no. So yeah, hopefully we get through it today, but I can imagine this is going to be an episode that's like an hour and a half long for Simon and then about 20 minutes long for everyone else. So sorry in advance. With that said, do you want to get straight into the first story?
Yeah, let's go for it. Let's try and make Simon's job a little bit easier.
Well, the first story isn't really a story. It's because I don't know if you noticed on the emails, but don't know if you can remember episode 29, your friend Elle's story.
Yes.
About the telly turning on and the power surges.
So the person who emailed in,
yeah,
actually messaged me and said, oh, I can explain about power surges. Do you guys want to know? And I was like, yes, but email, don't tell me.
Yes.
Because I like to come in blind.
So we have an email explaining power surges, and that is going to be our first kind of story today. But I thought I'd include it because it does kind of...
It's like an update, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it's exactly what we asked for, because I'm pretty sure we did say if any electricians out there can explain a power surge.
Because, you know, as much as we're here to talk about spooky stuff, and I'm always like vouching for it to be spooky,
yeah,
I also, you know, if there's a mundane explanation,
then fine.
That's
great.
How the cookie crumbles. That's how the Ouija boards. I hate myself so much.
I could see the disappointment in yourself in your own face. Then you were like, oh.
I didn't know where I was going with it. That just came out.
Okay, so hi Jess and Claudia. I like that I'm first here.
Yeah, well, don't get used to it.
Yeah, fair.
I mean, I'm off soon.
I mean, alphabetically you come before me and you're older than me, so I normally
and I'm better than you.
No, I'm taller. I'm big, you're small.
Wow.
I've been catching up on episodes I've missed recently, and in episode 29 you're talking about Claudia's friend Elle and their story. I heard you were wondering about how power surges work, and I might be able to shed some light on that. Did put no pun intended, but good pun.
Yeah.
As an electrician, I can give you a little breakdown on the way houses are usually wired up and how different power surges can affect different parts of an installation. I'll start with the basics.
Please do.
I'm not gonna lie. After that, I read that first sentence and I was like, oh God, we're in too deep. But
good song.
Okay. A house usually will have a main distribution board / fuse board. And this is used to split the incoming supply between different circuits.
Which makes complete sense. I know what he's on about.
Yeah. They know most houses have a fuse board. So, for example, in a traditional 2-story house, you would have one circuit which supplies the lights on the ground floor and one that supplies the lights on the first floor. This is the same for your power, so your sockets around the house. There are also extra circuits which could supply a cooker / like the garage and things like that. There are 2 main types of power surge that can affect the way these systems operate. The first one is external. This is likely to be an issue with the external supply and will normally affect all of these circuits as they are linked to the same supply.
Which makes sense.
So, yeah. And then the other type of surge is internal. So to explain this, I'm going to use the example of the ground floor power circuit. In theory, everything plugged into this circuit, even when on standby, has power flowing through it.
Which is why you should turn things off on standby, and why I turn plugs off.
Off by the wall, yeah.
People find it really annoying that I turn plugs off, but oh my God, it's so much better for the environment.
And it saves so much energy.
Yep.
Turning everything off by the wall, don't leave it on standby.
Honestly, better for the environment, better in this heat.
Yeah, for sure.
Even if it's just an extension cord. Like,
yeah.
It's still got energy going.
Yeah,
anyway, that's just my
so yeah, even if it's on standby, it will have power flowing through it, provided the switch on the outlet is in the on position.
Yeah.
Electrically sensitive items can be affected by changes in the activity elsewhere in the circuit. For example, if a high load item plugged into the same circuit and is not working correctly, so a faulty tumble dryer or a refrigerator, etc. This can cause an internal spike within that circuit. This can cause those electrically sensitive items, such as computers, radios, or televisions, to turn on even when in standby. This is why these items should always be plugged into a surge-protected outlet or an extension tower. So, again, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing is more obvious when there is a spike in the lighting circuit because you would get bulbs glowing or shattering due to this, but other applications such as televisions won't be affected as they're on a different circuit.
Of course.
In theory, Elle's television set could have been affected by something else plugged in around the house. However, these occurrences tend to only happen once. So, for example, the television would turn on if there was a spike in the house and when it happened, but it wouldn't then be affected again unless there was another spike in quick succession of it being turned off. Also, it's likely that all items connected to the circuit would be switched on, not just individual ones, which I think
that's what we said, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then he puts the example of if you've had a power cut, obviously everything turns off, and then when it eventually comes back on, like all the clocks will reset to zero, kind of thing. Like if you've got like a microwave or an oven and they cut out and they reset to zero, they don't tend to go back to the time that they were on. So that kind of thing, like that happens to everything in that circuit.
Well,
not just one
and
thing.
like in the same vein, if she had a lamp also plugged into the same electrical supply as the TV, when the TV, if it was a surge causing it to turn on, then surely the light should have come on or blown as well.
Yeah, definitely. And it wouldn't have just been her TV that turned on, it would have been all the TVs on that level. Like if all of her family had a telly in their room.
So her bedroom was downstairs.
Okay.
But it was next door to the living room, which she said that living room TV did it. We obviously don't. But then also, it would have stayed on and not turned off.
Yeah, because I know she turned it off, but then it wouldn't have turned back on.
Well, no, it was in the TV in the living room.
Yeah.
She went into the living room and turned on the TV. Had it been turned on from a power surge, it would have already been on when she entered the living room.
So, yeah, starting to make her story seem a little bit more...
Yeah, so actually, basically... Ghost confirmed.
Confirmed by a professional.
Yes.
So he said, I'd be interested to know if after this incident happened, if any large appliances started to show faults and needed to be replaced, as that would be my only explanation from a professional point of view. So maybe we could ask Elle and see if anything
she'll listen to this and...
Yeah, and
get
she can
in contact.
Let us know. But then he also said, equally, this could just be the age-old story of ghosts manifesting as a light source or causing electrical interface. And he says he much prefers this explanation.
Yeah, I much prefer. I always wanted to be paranormal.
Oh god, yeah, and it's quite nice that the explanation of the power surge
supports
the
paranormal.
And then he finishes by saying, I hope I didn't drown you in too much technical jargon, which I don't think he did. But feel free to shout at me if I haven't been clear. I've attached an image below for reference if it helps clear anything up, but it may just serve to confuse you even more. Thank you for brightening up my commutes up and down the country and keep up with the fantastic work. You're killing it. Much love, Just Cross.
Yeah, I've met him.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think you know him.
Yeah, thank you for the compliments and thank you for clearing things up and making it more spooky.
I know, and...
In your face, skeptics.
Yeah.
And also, not too jargony. Good.
No.
Concise, sense-making, logical. I'm very bad at teaching people things, so...
Yeah, and explained it in a simple way that these two idiots kind of understand.
Yes. Yeah. So have we got a ghost story now, Jess?
Only if you want one.
Now, should we leave it?
Yeah, we should go.
We've all learnt a lesson and that's enough.
And let's go. So I actually think it might be quite a good segue into, because Elle has actually sent us a second story.
Yes, and I saw the email come up.
Yeah.
And I so wanted to read it because it's about my nan's house.
Yeah. And how much she hates you. I'm joking. But she does bash you a little bit, so just mentally prepare yourself for that.
Wow, okay.
I mean, I feel like all of her points are very valid.
There's going to be pure shade here.
It is, yeah. You don't come across as a very nice person in one part of this story.
Oh, really?
Well, to be fair, typical child.
Okay.
Okay. So this is Elle's story, part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Witches. This is a really long story, and I'm sorry, but I'm overexcited and trying to give as much context as I can remember. I already submitted a personal ghost story, and at the time I considered including this additional little story on the side, but decided not to because last time I spoke to Claudia about the spookenings at her nan's house, she had completely forgotten how freaked out I got.
Yeah, I still can't remember.
Oh, okay. Hopefully this will jolt your memory. But after hearing her mention her nan's house in a past episode, I also agree that the house is haunted. In Lego of My Leg Ghost, it was almost painful that I couldn't interject your pre-recorded conversation. I've been waiting all day to be able to sit down and tell this additional spooky story. I've tried to work out what year it was based on a Facebook post that I thought existed, but apparently it doesn't anymore. So who's to say when it happened? Anyway, it was a long time ago. I accompanied Claudia and her lovely dad to a weekend stay at Claudia's nan's house. Claudia explained the house better than I can remember, but it's basically in the middle of nowhere, in perhaps something you would describe as a village. I'm not quite sure, but it was very remote. The house is old, and as far as I can remember, quite big. You couldn't get lost exactly, but if you wandered off to find a toilet and didn't know where it was, it wouldn't be obvious, like in a more modern home, and you could get a bit turned around. My recollections of the exact house layout might need to be fact-checked by Claudia. However, instead of repeating that, I think this is how the house was laid out. I'm going to tell the story as if I'm completely certain it was. Myself and Claudia slept in a room on the first floor towards the back of the house, overlooking the back garden, vegetable patches, and a donkey. To get to the room, right at the top of the stairs, you have to pass a large old portrait painting of someone probably very much in the past. Whoever they were, trapped in that painting, their eyes felt like they were watching your every move. It loomed over the hallway, and I absolutely detested having to walk past it. I think that was my first sense of spooky unease in that house. I think it might have also been the first time in my life that I'd ever really acknowledged myself sensing something else. Something unseen and something unheard. This isn't my declaration that I'm some sort of psychic ghost medium, but I do believe I have some ability to sense a presence and if it feels chill or unchill. And I'm sorry, Claudia, but your nan's house is so unchill. Once you get past the unapproving looks from the painting, you have to walk down a little corridor. I think there may have been other rooms to walk past that we weren't staying in, but the room we were staying in was at the end of a tiny corridor. Once in the room, Claudia tutted at the windowsills, noticing that on every windowsill there were quite a few dead flies. Like a noticeable amount of dead flies. So we opened the windows and one by one threw the bottle blues out to decompose in the garden or be eaten by spiders. Now, I don't think I've actually told Claudia this part because she didn't seem to remember the ordeal at all, and I think it's part of the torment from the house. I didn't mention it at the time, mostly because my undeveloped teen brain was paranoid that if I said anything about what I saw, Claudia would think I was complaining. Or she'd think I thought the house was dirty and didn't want to be there, and then she'd feel bad. Even though there was absolutely nothing wrong with it, and I didn't even notice the dead flies until Claudia started oiking them out the window. As the windows were open during the fly flinging, another fly flew right through the window into the middle of the room, and then dropped dead. Maybe it's because I was already put on edge by the painting, but this also sent a cold chill down my spine. Internally, I did a little, this is not good. However, other parts of the house were absolutely fine. There was a lovely kitchen that would thrill any cottagecore kitchen that saw it. Had a very cozy vibe with dog baskets near the table and dogs in them. A small dog liked to sleep on the kitchen counter, and I remember Claudia disapproving of him being there. There was a staircase where Claudia's aunt might appear from, her room just above, and the living room also felt fairly void of any lingering otherness. We sat there eating Chinese takeaway, watching South Park, and I explained why Terrence and Philip's heads are like that. And in brackets she puts, they are Canadian. I think the living room was a more recent addition to the house. It had a slightly more modern feel to it. And later on, we retired to the spooky room for the evening, and absolutely nothing happened. The next day, after a rainy walk to the village where me and Claudia discovered our favourite children's book, That's Not My Penguin, we returned to the house and Claudia showed me another room. Adjoining from the same hallway as the staircase with the moody painting was a room lined with shelves, stacked with old things. Books and antique-looking items, and a large, dark, rectangular wooden table in the middle. I don't recall if there were chairs or not. It also had a door at one end by the front door in the hall and another on the other end, which opened closer to the stairs. I understood nothing of this room's purpose, and I understood nothing of the reason for the 2 doors. What I did understand was that I had to get out. I couldn't hear what Claudia was saying. She might have been explaining the room's function and the doors, but my ears were plugged with a low humming. My throat was gaining an unswallowable lump, and it felt like the room itself was crushing me slowly between 4 invisible walls, extensions of their physically unmoving state. I explained none of this to Claudia. We discussed the house's creepy vibe for sure, and I told her I hated the painting. I don't think it was even really understanding at the time why certain parts of the house could elicit such feelings and reactions from me. Within 5 seconds of being in that room, I interrupted whatever Claudia was saying and said, "Nope, I need to get out of here. I need to get out of this fucking room. Get me out." Now, because I didn't explain that I was experiencing fear in a really intangible way, Claudia took this for a bit of a goof and ran out the door on the other side, and she held it closed so that I had to run back to the first door. The last time I brought this up to Claudia, she had absolutely no recollection, and I think this is all part of the house's little dig at me, that literally no one remembers me going bonkers over a room. Probably because nothing actually happened. This ghost story is lacking in ghosts, and it's more about a bunch of times that I got a vibe from the house. So I'm sorry it's really long with absolutely no action. Apart from Claudia told her dad I was scared of that room, and when we went to leave, he hid behind a door, stuck a vase out and waved it up and down going, "Ooh." And then she adds that we should do a podcast from your nan's house because she thinks it's 100% haunted and that it doesn't like visitors.
So, first of all, most of your description of the house is true. So you do go up the stairs, you turn right. I don't remember this painting.
Okay.
I can't think who the...
Maybe we should ask your dad, another avid story writer of the podcast.
I can't for the life of me think of a painting being there. So yeah, then you go into like a little corridor, and then you do go past 2 doors, but they're both leading to the same room, which is the master bedroom.
Okay.
It used to be 2 rooms and they knocked one through, so it's still got 2 doors.
Okay.
And then you go to the end room. Now, I will say, and I'm going to say this because my nan and my auntie don't listen to the podcast, I hope, but my nan's house isn't clean. And we all agree that it's not clean.
Yeah.
As a kid, I didn't realise it as much because when you're a kid, you don't notice
things
like dirt and stuff. Like most kids don't.
Yeah.
Unless it's like something you have a bit of a thing about. But I didn't notice. Now as an adult, I go there and I notice that it's dirty. So when I say that I didn't like the dog sleeping up there, it was a cat, not a dog that used to sleep on the stove.
Okay.
Actually, it might have been a dog when Elle came. But either way, it's because it's right next to the Argo and it's just covered in hairs, and like you don't want a cat sleeping.
Like
it's just like unsanitary.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I don't like Karen's like sit on the kitchen counters.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I don't have any recollection of any of this.
Really?
I would say that the room she's talking about is a dining room.
It sounds like it, with the large rectangular table and...
So it's a dining room. It's where we have our Christmas dinner. So for me, it's got a lot of happy memories.
Okay.
I will say the room itself feels like cold and everything.
Yeah.
But it's an old house, and I think it feels so cold because there's one of those big chimney sort of... I don't know what the proper word for it is. But you know when something's like a chimney, it's almost big enough that it's like a different, smaller part of the room.
Yeah.
Like in old houses.
Yeah.
When the fireplace and the chimney would be that big.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So I wonder if it's that cold because...
there's such a massive chimney in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can completely see what she means about it has a bit of a different vibe. But for me, it's filled with happy memories.
Yeah.
There is a very creepy chair in it that we jokingly call the devil's chair. That's made out of like dark oak. And it's like got like dragons on it and stuff. And it's just like, we don't really know why they have it.
But they do.
My nan's house has a weird vibe. So it's not in that remote of a place. Like she has got a neighbour right next door and opposite.
Okay.
But she has also got 20 acres of land surrounding her property.
Okay, so they're not like close.
No, but they are literally across the road. Like, they're not as across the road as my neighbours are, or like a normal street. But there is just a road that separates you. Like, it's not one of those places where I would be like, nope, not staying there because no one can hear you scream.
Yeah.
Like, it's not.
You could get help if you needed it. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it's definitely a weird house. I would say it's maybe not so much the vibe as the fact that it's just, I love my nan to bits, and this is going to sound really awful, like, oh, my nan's big house isn't well taken care of, but basically they should have moved out a long time ago because they can't really upkeep it.
Yeah.
And that's not a dig at her, she's an 86-year-old woman, like.
Yeah, that's fair enough that you can't upkeep that massive house.
It's more the fact that they refuse to move out, but that's family drama. But yeah, I would say that the creepy vibes are not helped by the lack of upkeep of the house.
Okay, so as well as being old, potentially a bit cold, because old houses don't have the best heating, they don't have the best insulation.
And it's listed, so you can't do anything to that, really. Like, you can't
put double glazing in some listed buildings,
it has to have so that they have to have certain windows.
Yeah. So yeah, it doesn't retain heat very well. So that always makes things feel a bit, because you do get, like, even in my mum's house, like, my mum's house isn't massive, but in the winter she'll put the fire on rather than put the heating on, because they'll just sit in the front room. Yeah. So the front room's boiling and the bedroom immediately above the front room is boiling, but my brother used to sleep in the garage conversion, which obviously is not well insulated, and it would be as cold as it was outside in there. So different houses, like, you can be in the same house and different rooms have completely different temperatures.
Yeah, and it's all whether it's like south facing or I don't know nothing about that.
No idea, but
no, I definitely don't remember any of that. So it is weird that I blocked it out, but it might also be just because, like, for me it was such a non-event.
Yeah, like, if you didn't have those.
I'm sorry you felt scared and I didn't properly look after you in that situation. I was a bad host.
Oh, it sounds like she was more scared that you would think she was complaining and didn't want to stay there.
Honestly, if anyone said to me, your nan's house is a bit dirty, I don't want to stay here, I'd be like, yeah.
Fair, let's go.
But no, thank you so much for sending that in. And I'm going to have to find out what that painting is at the top of the stairs.
It's funny, though, how she had an experience in a completely different part of the house to you. Because were you in the living room?
Yeah.
And she said that the living room gave her a really safe vibe.
Yeah. See, I think the living room feels a little bit different, but maybe it depends what ghost.
Yeah, maybe you're just haunted by different ghosts.
So what else have you got for me?
Oh, I've got a selection.
A selection box?
Yep. Do you want a short one next?
Yeah, why not?
Although the next one's quite short, it's a little 2-for-1 package. I'll wait for you to finish yawning.
I'm so tired, I'm so sorry.
And this was sent in by my friend Evie, but it's actually her mum's story.
Yeah. Hi, Evie.
I have 2 short stories for you. So this is, her mum's written it, sent it to her, and so it's written from the view of her mum, not the view of Evie. Okay. When I was younger, my gramps passed away. We used to be very close, and I was upset by his passing. Since he passed, whenever I used to be sad, I used to be able to feel something sitting on the edge of my bed, and even see a dip in my duvet where he used to sit. And still to this day, I believe it's him trying to comfort me like he used to. Another story I have is when I visited my friend, I walked into her house, and she used to live in a massive house. There was a candlestick holder that flew off the drawers and landed in the middle of the room. The strange thing was that there was no windows or doors open at the time, so there wasn't any wind around to knock it off. To make matters even stranger, it wasn't a normal candlestick holder. It was a huge heavy-duty one made of crystal. What's even weirder is the force and distance it fell with. It should have smashed, but it didn't. I can't explain how it moved or how it didn't smash.
Okay. So the first one, I 100% think that would have been your granddad.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Sitting there comforting you.
Yeah, if you feel like, if he used to always sit there and you feel something.
And you see the indent.
Yeah, and
I think that's lovely.
Yeah, and it's something that he used to do while he was alive. Then yeah, definitely could be him, like a little guardian angel.
Oh, so nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really sweet.
And the second one, yeah, as soon as you said crystal, I was like, shouldn't that break?
Smash? Yeah.
I remember once when I was working in Spoons, I dropped a glass from like one of their lower tables onto carpet and it smashed.
Oh.
So, I mean, a crystal candlestick holder flying across the room.
Even if it's heavy duty, you're thinking...
There's going to be a chip at least.
At least, yeah. At least. But
no, I like both those stories because they're both, they're quite compelling.
Yeah. They're little, they're short, sweet, to the point.
But they're compelling.
Yeah.
Which just shows we like short ones, we love Els ones that are longer. That's longer, like...
Because we do have long ones and short ones, actually, it's quite nice to do a long one and then a little short one.
Yeah.
And short ones are a lot easier for me to read.
That's because you've got baby brain.
I don't know words.
Oh, Lord above that kid. It's okay.
It's okay. Only 4 weeks left of work. Then I don't have to use my brain for work anymore.
Yeah, you've had a long day.
I've had a very long day. And I've worked with children in a hot, sweaty room.
Why have you worked? Oh, yeah.
Coaching cheerleading.
I was like, why have you worked with children at the hospital?
Oh, God, no. I couldn't deal with sick children. Too sad and too annoying. Yeah, but one rather than a whole ward.
One for now.
Forever. Right, before you choose the next story, I'm going to have some water because the next two are both long. So you can take your pick. So Evie did send in another one, or we've got someone called Katie.
I think Katie.
Yeah. This is the one with loads of long words.
I'm going to enjoy this, aren't we?
Sorry in advance. This is going to be bad. Once I'm through the first paragraph, I should be okay.
Just go for it.
Okay. So this story is sent in by Katie. So thank you very much, Katie.
Thank you, Katie. And hi, Katie.
Hi, Claudia and Jess. I have a good friend who's been on many ghost investigations. So I asked him to recount one of his most memorable events. I have his permission to share with the podcast. The below are his words. This event happened in February 2008. I was on my first formal paranormal investigation with the Ghost Club. The Ghost Club is the oldest organisation in the world associated with psychical research, being founded in 1862. Its early members included Charles Dickens, Siegfried Sassoon, and renowned investigator Harry Price. The investigation was at Michelhelm Priory in East Sussex, an Augustinian priory seized by Henry VIII during the dissolution of the monasteries. It was halfway through the evening and the group was on a break between vigils. All the lights were up and we were standing around the main staircase, chatting, laughing and drinking coffee. I was standing in the stairwell, facing the rest of the group. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw something moving on the stairs next to me. I turned to see what looked like a strip of black fabric a few centimetres above the stairs, and heading up them at a good speed. So, as to direct the others to look, but not to add suggestion, I asked, "Can anyone else see that?" and pointed directly at the piece of cloth. The group said they couldn't see anything, which baffled me as what I saw was only a couple of feet away from me. It was clear and solid, if unlikely. The exception to the group was the investigation's organiser. She told me not to say anything else and took off up the stairs. From where I was standing in the stairwell, I couldn't see the sides of the stairs on the upper levels. I could only see the landings. As the piece of black cloth crossed a landing, with the organiser running after it, I pointed it out and said, "It's there now." When the organiser came down, we compared notes. I told her what I'd seen, and she said she'd seen a male figure in a long black robe running up the stairs. Each time I pointed out where the cloth was, she could see the figure crossing the landing at that moment. She said that the figure ran to the top of the stairs and along the landing and then disappeared. Augustinian monks still dress in black robes. Could we have seen a monk from before the dissolution rushing to an urgent mission in the priory's chambers? I've been on many investigations over the years, but my first remains one of the most vivid and baffling experiences I've ever had. So she's also listed her friend as being Max, so thank you, Max, for that story.
Thank you, Max.
And thank you, Katie, for getting his permission to send it in.
I find that so interesting.
Yeah.
The fact that there was an apparition that was seen in two separate ways really cements what we've spoken about earlier, where we said, is it that they present differently, or that people's abilities to see them differ?
Yeah, well, it could be a bit of both, really.
Yeah, it could be that they're choosing to present themselves to certain individuals.
Yeah.
Or it could be that those certain individuals have different levels of what they can see.
Also, it's funny how he said that's his first one, and he sees something, and obviously the investigator who organised it, she's probably been on loads.
Yeah.
So she's probably a lot more open, a lot more used to seeing things like that.
I mean, the fact that she chased it as well probably reeks of that, because I feel like most novices or like people less experienced are less likely to chase it.
Yeah,
like,
you're
I
gonna
see
be
a
like,
ghost, I'm going the other way.
Yeah, you're going to be like, okay, I'm a believer now, I'm out.
Yeah, no, I definitely find it very interesting. I also think that the fact that he saw the clothing, like not just...
Yeah.
Like, I just find that interesting because we often don't really hear about the clothing being separate to the entity.
Yeah, well, I guess it was obviously still part of it, but it's funny, how he just sees the cloth. Obviously, that must have been quite a significant part of it in the way that the monks would have dressed. And
yeah, I suppose as well, it could also have been where he was less experienced than the organizer.
Yeah,
his ability to see was less at that time.
Yeah, so maybe the cloth was the most prominent thing, but it's interesting how he saw it as a complete novice and the organizer saw it as someone really experienced. Obviously they don't say how experienced the people are in between. It could have all been their first one as well, but it's funny how he saw it and she saw it and no one else did.
Yeah. No, it's definitely very interesting. It also reminds me of there's a place, and I need to get the name of it, and I think when you're on maternity leave I will probably cover it.
Yeah, fair enough.
But there's a place nearish to where I grew up that apparently was a monastery. No, it wasn't a monastery, it was a priest retreat.
Oh, okay.
And I need to get the full details. But one of the priests there had a psychotic episode or began worshipping the devil or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And killed all the other priests. And people used to go there and like explore it. And I once went to go there and... I got lost driving there.
Oh, okay.
And so by the time you had to get out your car, walk up a lane.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't drive up a lane to get to it. By the time we got there, it was dark. And we literally stopped outside and went, nope, and carried on. And now it's since been torn down as far as I'm aware. But no, I want to get more information about that because...
Yeah, that'd be a good one to cover.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
And is it a spooky story or is it...
a crime? Oh, crossover episode.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a bit of both.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. But no, thank you for that story. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I'd love to go on ghost adventures.
I know. After I saw that, I was like, oh, maybe I'll look into this ghost club.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do...
Well, we've got a special trip planned in a month.
In a month?
No, in a week.
In a week, next week.
We've got a special trip planned in a week
we
that
do.
you guys will be able to sort of join us on.
Yes.
More details to follow.
Yeah, we need to sort it out properly as well, what we're actually doing.
Yeah, we're great at organising.
Yep.
Well, that was a really good week of ghost stories, I
Yeah,
think.
very, very strong ghost stories. Also, loved the explanation of the...
Of Elle's event.
Yeah, of the electricity. So
Yeah, appreciate that. We always want more information, whether it debunks or adds further credit. We want both.
Yeah, so if you're listening and you've listened to an episode and you're like, well, that can be easily explained, please send it in because we would like...
Or if, like Chris, you've listened to an episode and been like, that actually, shouldn't happen, and I'm going to explain why it shouldn't happen.
Yeah, definitely. We're just as interested in that as we are in the actual ghost
I thought
stories
you
themselves.
went, Jess is interested in that. Like, spoke about yourself in the third person. I was like, okay, Claudia's not apparently.
Jess is a cool person.
Jess is a cool bean.
Look how fat my ankle is.
You're pregnant.
It fat though.
Cankles.
Cankles.
Well, on that lovely note, I think Jess needs to go home and ice her feet or something. Yeah, elevate. Use the good old rice method.
Yeah, or the price is now, isn't it?
Oh, is that?
Price and police, isn't it? I cannot tell you what police stands for though.
And on that note, everyone, you know what to do. Stay spooky. Hey guys, if you have a ghost story or a case suggestion, please email us truecrimecovinpod@gmail.com.
You can also find us on Twitter at True Crime Coven or on Instagram and Facebook where we are at True Crime Coven Pod.
Also, it would mean the absolute world to us if you could rate us wherever you're listening to this right now, be it Spotify, Apple Music, or if you're on YouTube, give us a little thumbs up, click that bell, get notifications every time we post.
Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts from.
Make these two witches smile. Thanks, witches!